pretty okay. I don't know why I get so many of those spinners. There's a lot of shots I throw that I swear that pin is just going to stand back up because it hits it just right and it just kind of spins all the way off the deck and just doesn't fall down. There we go. See, there's that frickin' pin again. I don't know what I do. Just packing them back so hard. The Max Thrill Hybrid is coming soon from Motive to join the surprisingly successful Pearl and Solid, and thanks to the company, I now have reviews instead of previews to launch with the ball announcement, which I'm pretty happy about, because this is a rare light to medium oil ball that I think I might be able to actually use. I'm a longtime Pro Shop guy that's uploaded over 2,000 videos with the singular goal of helping you understand all the equipment options out there so that you can waste less money and enjoy bowling more. I have both a full standard review up front and then an online commentary with shot-to-shot context and analysis in the back half of the video. We are at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas on the Kegel Chromium Challenge pattern. It's 42 feet long, 25.5 mils, and the graph is linked to the description if you want all of the pattern details. The Max Thrill Hybrid is on paper and on the lane too exactly what you expect it to be. Same cover and core as the Pearl and Solid. The traditional and highly successful light bulb shape halogen core comes in at a medium to medium high 255 RG for plenty of length. Same RG as the Primal Rage Evolution for reference, but a medium to medium low 037 differential for enough flare to expose fresh cover to the lane on every rotation for stability, but not so much that it's making the ball too strong or dynamic on the back end. Same Turmoil XP3 cover, just hybrid of course, and the box surface is the same 5500 LSP or laser scan polish finish as the Pearl rather than the 5000 LSS or laser scan sanded surface of the Solid. The reaction shape is very similar to the Pearl and Solid. It's clean and defined down lane, not necessarily sharp, but they're also very strong rolling balls for what they look like on paper. I feel like Motive balls in general roll quite strong or stronger than the other companies by comparison across the board. Even the cleaner and sharper balls still have a very strong and stable roll. I think this is a big reason why, despite just being a single company, you see so much Motive so often on the PBA final shows, and despite EJ Tackett being the best bowler on the planet, that might have something to do with it. But I think that's why you see them so often and have actually seen these balls in particular, the Max Thrills, in use, because the stronger and heavier roll creates a huge amount of stability and lane control even though it's a weaker type of ball. Typically, you don't see light to medium oil balls of any kind on any PBA telecasts. It's all stronger stuff or urethane. But the fact that these have actually been in use and effective on those kinds of conditions speaks volumes. It does create an interesting juxtaposition watching the reaction because it has that giant, strong rolling beach ball look to it, but still obviously a very clean and lower to medium strength ball. This ball at this surface doesn't quite fit the fresh on this pattern, not what it was designed for, but again, because of that heavy roll, it still works despite feeling like it's a bit too weak for the situation, and I think that you can see that. I did have to slow down and soften up a touch from the first zone to put it in play, and after I get through all the zone testing, I got lined up with it and ended up getting a really great situation to illustrate lining up and transition and lane play and adjustments and all kinds of good stuff, so you definitely won't want to miss the live comm section because this ball gave me a great opportunity to talk about all kinds of things. Anyway, the hybrid definitely shapes like the Pearl and Solid, the same kind of half-round, half-tumbly climbing arc, very controllable ball, even this shiny, which is pretty remarkable, but again, the heavier roll helps to harness and stabilize it while still letting it be the ball it's supposed to be, and that's a hallmark for me of a great lighter oil ball. It's difficult to make something weaker that's going to fit for lighter conditions, or not be too strong when they get dry, but also not be completely allergic to oil, because if something hydroplanes on oil, but reacts strongly on the dry, it's going to be really inconsistent. Transition gets messy and spotty, and a lot of weaker balls out there end up being too strong for heavy transition, but too weak to use without it, so most of the time you just have to use something stronger and more stable and just keep moving further and further inside looking for more oil. I was kind of mixed on it from straighter. It's strong enough that I had to keep my speed up or be easier with it to keep it online. It wasn't a big adjustment, but as it's a weaker ball, it also doesn't rev up a lot on its own, so I still had to roll it somewhat to get it to shape right through the pins. It worked out just fine, and I normally do have to drop my revs and raise my speed from the straighter zone with everything, but stronger balls will rev up and finish on their own, and it just created an unfortunate angle that I'll return to solve in a minute. Now, as you can see, as I've moved in deeper, it handles oil better than you'd expect, but it doesn't necessarily like it, of course, and it shouldn't. It wasn't quite enough from where I started from, or it took a good amount of help from deeper as you'd expect. But just like the straighter zone, I could make it work just fine. It just wasn't necessarily comfortable, and I talk about this really in depth in the live comm about finding out what you can make a ball do versus what it's most comfortable doing, and how that affects transition and shot quality and all kinds of things. So I really can't, again, I can't stress enough to make sure you stick around for the live comm. To give you a bit of the Reader's Digest version, though, I like the way the ball reacts, but I don't feel like any of the specific zones I was in was really the right spot for it, so what I decided to do, to finish up, was get lined up with it and see what it could do, and what I landed on was standing on 19, going 12 to 5, so I didn't have to go as straight up the lane as I did from the straightest zone, but not quite bend it as much as I did from the 14 to 6 zone. This is where it wanted to be, and it ended up looking not just better than I expected, but actually really good. I camped out here for a while and just kept throwing the ball, ended up grooving in an even better look, gave myself some room, threw a lot of darts, and if I was the kind of reviewer that hyped stuff up to move product, I'd have just conveniently trimmed down all the stuff that I did to start and shown you a lot of this, because this was as free gets. I eventually ended up with some decent friction to the outside and almost a little too much hold in the middle. I did leave a couple flat corners if I got the ball in or up the lane a little bit. Again, the core is on the weaker side, so it takes a bit longer to rev up, but it's impressive to get this kind of a look out of a ball like this at this kind of a price. You'd have to have a lighter volume house pattern or an older, higher friction lane surface to be able to use this on the fresh, but I think that most people could absolutely use a ball like this in League as a Game 2 and beyond ball. Revamping the ads a bit here because I have a lot of sponsors that are the reason you keep getting to see videos. I couldn't do what I do without them, and there's a lot of links and discounts in the description to check out so that you can pick up the same stuff I use and recommend. I really like a lot of the stuff I've been using from Genesis. The chamois variety, the K-Motion tape has really helped my elbow tendonitis. The Sport 3-ball mod roller that I didn't expect to like but really do, and the Sync hybrid silver tape that is smooth like black tape but still has some grip like white tape. I still use and love the Nexus backpack. I have the V2 version now. A discount link in the description for that. And if you're going to buy bowling supplies from an online retailer, following the link in the description to Bowler's Mart also indirectly supports me. We're going to change it up here. Rather than an abbreviated kind of throwaway comparison, we went deeper with the review, and I have an extended, long live commentary following this. And again, the videos have been getting kind of long anyway, so I'll reserve a comparison to its own full dedicated video and let you head straight to the live comm. This video was brought to you by Panda Bear Productions. We put the in bowling. Please remember to hit the description for all the resources and information down there. Thanks for watching, and may the strikes be with you. All right, we're going to be looking at the Motive Max Thrill Hybrid. Genesis disc chamois. Boy, to say that right for YouTube. So anyway, this is designed to go between the Max Thrill Pearl and Solid that they came out with, and even though it is kind of a lower end light to medium oil ball, EJ has used both of the Max Thrills quite a bit through qualifying on TV, and so they're not just kind of like an entry-level ball, they're actually just a lighter to medium oil performance ball. Again, haven't thrown it yet. I'm going to stand on the normal spot. Standing on 21, making sure it's 21 this time, and my little 14-6 swing, and we'll see what happens here. All right, thanks for watching. We're done here. It's a great video. Happy to have you. I'm gonna have my first slapper. Sailed that one a little bit. So again, can tell that it's a lighter oil ball. That one was a little too confident of a shot. It's pretty okay. Okay, so I slowed my speed down and rolled a little bit more there. That's pretty good. Yeah, so once we just, again, I normally throw a lot stronger stuff than this. I have been throwing the Evoke Hysteria. Most of the time I'm into really strong symmetric balls, ASIMs. I've been throwing the Jackal Onyx a lot. So this is a really big step down for me as far as ball strength than what I'm used to throwing. That's pretty good. In a little bit. There we go. Now I can slap one off. But yeah, this is a pretty big step down for me as far as ball makeup goes. Normally I'm throwing a lot of big stuff it's earlier and not necessarily smoother. It's just a whole lot stronger. And this one isn't taking a big adjustment. That's pretty okay, that'll hook. Yeah, so it's really just, because I'm not really like banging on it, it's just slow the tempo down, slow the speed down. Don't chuck it so much. I can roll a little bit more. So small adjustment. Let's throw one more good one here and then we'll straighten out. Okay, let's move out. I'm gonna go to stand on 16, so I move 5 boards with my feet at a time. That's pretty good. Yeah, so, I mean, this one's just right in that place where you kind of want it to be for something that obviously, if you are an entry-level bowler, if you're looking for something lower end, weaker, whatever else, that just looks freaking sweet, that you want to bowl league with, or if you're looking for something that's more performance for, you know, drier conditions, this one kind of fits the bill both directions. Throw one more out here. And Motive stuff has that kind of, it rolls a little bit heavier. So a ball like this works out really well in general for a ball roll like Motive, because sometimes with weaker lower end balls, you can kind of get into that situation where they're a little too fast on friction, but they don't see the oil well enough. And so you always kind of run into, well, I need to be using this ball because the lanes are dry, but you sometimes run into that over-under situation where this, I think the heavier roll that Motive balls have control the lane front to back a little bit more. And so it just helps everything. It just kind of helps pull everything all together. So we're gonna skip that first zone. We're staying on 26, 17 to 6-ish, if I can do it. Will it hook? From here, I think it's just going to be a little too weak, I think, and especially with the box surface still on it, which is pretty shiny. It's not glowing per se. And I'm slowing it down a fair bit, and that one just got too far out. See, again, that's why I put for me, I have specific targets and places, so on some of the other videos, the guys just kind of move around and do whatever. I have specific zones that I stand in, and so that's why I put the targets up on the screen, so that, you know, if I'm trying to go 17 to 6, and I leak a ball like this out to 4, you know, well, that ball hit flat. It's like, well, yes, I missed, you know, fairly significantly. Whereas something like that happens, where I was a whole lot closer, where it was a pretty good shot, I would say that that's a good shot. The previous 10 pin, or whatever, I'm still right-handed, still ready brain. But where the previous 7 pin was a result of me throwing a bad shot and the ball not getting back, so therefore I can't, when you're looking for information, you can't, they always say never, don't make a move off a bad shot. And so I'm not making a read on ball reaction off a bad shot. That first 7 pin was a bad shot. That last one was pretty okay. So with it still not getting back, it's just weaker, cleaner, weaker ball. It's just not the place to be on a fresh challenge pattern. Got that one down a little bit earlier and rolled it more. I also got it out there, but a lot of the time people don't see flat corners correctly either. Sometimes a flat corner isn't a result of the ball puking or dying or giving up or whatever. It's a result of just putting it in that exactly wrong in-between place. Because that ball, I got far enough out that instead of getting back to that half pocket, it was a mixer, so they all go down. If I get it a couple boards inside of that, it's flush 10 back. And so sometimes a flat corner is just a flat corner and there's no other explanation for it. That's really good. Okay, so if I throw a shot like that and it wiggles and doesn't make it, that's a problem. That one, I got around a little bit more. I got a pretty good roll on it. I hit what I was aiming at, most importantly, or really close to it. I think that one was 5 instead of 6. But if that shot doesn't strike, then that's telling me things about the ball reaction. Same way on that one will pick up. Okay, so I twirled it, but I really got around that one more. So instead of picking up and going straighter, if I get more at the back of it, it's gonna go straighter out the end of the pattern. If I get around it more, it's going to pick up and dive more. I am having to work a little bit extra to get it to do what it's doing from here, but it's not, I'm helping it more than it's helping me, but it's not really a problem per se. Okay, that one was in a bit, and I kind of fluffed it somewhat. And it went long, which I kind of expected it to off my hand. Still hit though. Still knocked the pins down. So yeah, I think that this one is definitely going to be happier in transition, or a lot drier lanes, which is what it's designed for. But again, the point of throwing it on something like this is so that you can see exactly how it stacks up with everything else. And everything hooks on a drier shot. So this is helping you place it, which is the point of a ball review, is placing it and stacking it up against something else, not making it look good. It's gonna be a little long. Yeah. Yep. I got through that one. I popped through it pretty good at the release, and so I felt like it was going to push a little bit. Wrap 7's a good sign, though. Really just means that you're probably a couple frames of transition away from the ball, creating a little bit more friction, picking up more as it picks oil up off the lane. Probably not gonna. I might go back and. Because the super deeps, I think you can already tell that we're pretty well maxed out on where this ball wants to be at. That's pretty good. So yeah, if I If I slow it down, give a little bit more time, it'll pick up and get through the pins well. It's not like it's just spinning, or it's not like I'm really having to help it, but it just needs more friction than what we've got out there right now. I'll throw one more good shot from here, and then I'll try to find kind of like the sweet spot for it, or where it wants to be at. That's really good. Okay. Okay, that one was pretty high quality. So I'm probably, again, this doesn't flare a whole lot, so I'm probably pushing a little bit of oil down that way as well. So I'm pushing more of the oil in the middle of the lane to the outside part of the lane. As the ball goes down the lane, it kind of drags a little bit more and more each time. And since, again, it doesn't flare a whole lot, it's going to create just a little bit more carry down than something stronger will, that's flaring a whole lot more. So I've been playing 19 a whole lot. Some places, you know, that regardless of the condition, there's just good places to play at in a certain building. I've been standing on 19 a whole lot lately. So since I think that playing 10 to 5 was a little straight, and I wasn't necessarily comfortable with the 14 to 6, I think I'm gonna split the gap and do like a 12 to 5 or 12 to 6 or something like that. So I'm gonna stand on 19. And drop it again. But dropped it and spun it, and it still reacted well. So that tells me something about the ball reaction there, because even though it was a bad shot, it covered the miss up. And seeing as how I'm standing, where I think the ball is going to be happiest from, that's when you can take the misses into account. If I'm playing a little too deep or a little too straight and my misses don't strike, I kind of expect them not to strike because I'm not playing in the right place for that ball. Now that I am playing in the right place, or what I think is the right place for this ball, my mistakes should be covered up more. Okay, I got that one way too far out. That may not have been too bored, but it was really close. So the fact that it got back that far is a good sign. It didn't strike, but you know, on a shot that's that bad, you know, I'm sure that you just watching are like, oh crap, he got that one out. And it's like, oh, but it recovered. May not have struck, but that's information. That tells me if I roll it a little bit more, that I can get it back from there. Okay, so that wasn't quite as far out. Still further out than what I'm aiming at. And I did roll it a little bit more, and it got there. This is definitely kind of the sweet spot. I feel comfortable. I feel the most comfortable here. I feel like I had to stay a little bit firm with it from straighter. And then where I started, I felt like I had to help it just a little bit. So this is kind of the nice in-between sweet spot where it just feels right. That'll get there. Okay, it wasn't the greatest shot, but it was definitely good enough. I mean, that's one of those where I let it off my hand and it's kind of like, It's one of those ones you're watching where, you know, you didn't necessarily like it, but you know it's gonna strike anyway. One of those ones where you come back and people go, what you shaking your head for? That looked great. It's like, no, that was actually not very well executed. So. All right. That's really good. That's when you get those. I definitely got all of it, and it was a little slow, but it came off my hand so good that those are the ones when you trip those, when you trip the 6 or trip the 4, it was a really pure shot. That's one of those that you throw a little bit better than you're counting on. So that one was just a little too good. That's really good. So you see how everything kind of clicks. Everything kind of comes together. Gosh, that was a little too confident there with my speed. I popped it off just a little too clean. I still do, again, it's still a clean ball. It's still cleaner on the lower end of the spectrum. And that one I expected a corner pin on, but it kicked it out. So that's, again, good news for standing in the right place. The ball retains enough energy or has enough energy down lane to pop. That I rolled pretty good. Yeah. That one didn't strike, there were problems. So this one I do need to roll a little bit more. Some of the stronger stuff I've been getting used to kind of popping or opening my hand up a little bit more and just kind of making sure I get it off my hand clean and letting the ball do the work. This one, again, just needs a little, I can still do that. I just need to make sure that I don't throw it as hard. I can still pop it off my hand. I don't necessarily have to grab a handful or really roll it at the bottom. I just need to not throw it so hard.